So one of the most useful properties of Python as a programming language is that we don't have to rewrite a lot of code that people have already written for us. So if you know the saying, if I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. So that was by Isaac Newton. And the thing about Python is there have been many giants that have preceded us, and they have written lots of code that we can use and stand on top of, so that we don't have to worry about writing code that's already been there. We can write code that extends what's already been written. So, for example, let's talk about color. So if we wanted to display hello world in a different color instead of white, let's say we want to display it in green, the way we would do that is we're going to... So remember, actually I'm just going to delete this for the time being. So remember, print will display everything in between the brackets and also in between the quotation marks. But if we wanted to change the color, one way we're going to do this is by typing in something that looks like that, color dot green. So notice color is the Australian spelling, dot, and then the color is in lowercase. And then I'm going to use the plus symbol to join that to the piece of text we want to display. So hello world, like this. So what would happen here is Python will change the color to green and then join it to whatever text follows. And whatever text follows will be displayed in the color that it changed into. So if I try to run this, okay, I'll get an error. And the problem with this is because color.green is not part of the standard Python language. Okay, so this was written by, you can consider them giants in the Python field, not really, it was written by me. So this color feature has been written previously, and we want to be able to use that feature that doesn't come out of the box with Python. So the way we do that is we're going to use the import statement. So before we go further, we're going to talk a little bit about that import statement. So to reuse other people's code in our own programs, in this case, the code that supports color, we need to import that code from another place. So it's very similar to copying and pasting code. So the way that looks is we're going to say from goodies import the star. Okay, so the goodies part of that line is the name of a module. So a module is a piece of code or a bunch of code that has been written and packaged up in Python. The way you can think about this is it's kind of like a library, like a public library that you can go to. Let's say you want to read a book and you don't have the book with you, and you don't want to go and buy one. You can go to the library and borrow that book so that you now have possession and access to the information in that book. Now, the name goodies is the name of that library we want to go to. In Python, there are tons and tons and tons of different libraries that you can import or borrow books from. The one that we are going to use in this course is simply called goodies, and like its name entails, it's got some nice little colors and other fun things that we can use and students can use in their code. Okay, so this is the library of goodies, imagine that. And yes, there are many other different libraries we can use. But in this case, let's imagine that our coder is going to the library and the import word is saying they're going to borrow. They're going to take some code out of the goodies library and use it in their own program. Okay, so that's like borrowing a book from the library. Now the star at the end here is saying, give me everything that's in the library. Okay, give me all the books, all the journals, all the magazines, everything. Okay. It just makes it a little bit easier because we don't have to differentiate all the different things we need, but it does, behind the scene, makes our code, it does make our code more bloated than it needs to be. But just to start off with, it's easier just to take everything, okay? So that's like grabbing all the books in the library, and now we have access to all those books, okay? The alternative is, yeah, we don't need to take everything. In this case, we only need that color code. So instead of going import star, we can just import color, and that's just like borrowing one or two books, or you can borrow multiple things like color, style, say, and these are other things that students and yourself can use in your own programs. Okay, so in this case, they're borrowing three things: color, style, and say. Imagine they come off the library and into the coder's possession, and then they walk away with that without having to take the entirety of the library as they would get if they used the star symbol. Okay, so now we were running this before and it didn't work. That's because we haven't borrowed the color code from the goodies module. So let's go and do that. From goodies, import star. Actually, let's just import color, okay, to start with. And we know to use color because that's what we're using here. Now, if we run that again, we now see our text in a different color. Okay, we can do star, and that would work as well because we're taking everything from that library. That still works. But let's say if we only wanted style, that will not work because we haven't taken color from that library there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to color. There we go. So I'm going to illustrate different ways we can use color now. So we can display hello world obviously in green. If we wanted to change the color and display, let's say, how are you in red, right? We can go color.red now. So we're changing the color, how are you? Okay, so if we run this now, top to bottom, okay, we now get hello, how are you in different colors. Now, just as a bit of a question to see how the thinking is going, what if we said, I am fine, okay? Now, the third line of print here is just displaying I am fine without any colors. What color do you think I am fine will be displayed in down here? Do you think it would be in green, would it be in red, or would it go back to being white? Okay, so have a guess there and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, it remains the same color that we changed it to. Okay, so it's remembering what the last color it changed to was, and it will continue to use that. Okay, so if we did another one here, I'm fine, are you fine? Okay, then that will all be in red. Okay, so if we wanted to change it back to another color, we can just go, let's say we want to change it back to green, then we need to go back and say green like this. Okay, and then it will remain green as well. Or if we wanted to go back to white or the original default color, we can just use reset. Okay, so reset will take everything back to what it was before we changed any of the colors, which in this case is going to be white. So the other thing we can do with colors is we can change the color within the same line. Okay, so let's just say here, print, say stop to stop. Okay, say stop to stop, like this. Okay, and let's say we only wanted the stop word to be in red. Okay, how would we do that? We only want the stop word to be in red. Well, the way we do that is we're going to split this sentence up into little parts here. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Okay, so I'm just going to put quotes around these things. Okay, so you might just see there as I did that very quickly, I had one piece of text that is enclosed between two quotation marks. What I've just done is I have now created three little pieces from that. Okay, so instead of just one piece of text in between two quotation marks, I've now got this piece of text that says say, I now have this piece of text which says stop, and I have this piece of text which says to stop. Okay, now if I run this, okay, you can see that the stop is kind of mushed up against these say and to, because notice the spaces in between the quotation marks do not factor in to what's being displayed. So if I want to keep those spaces, I need to put spaces on either side of those two pieces around the stop word. Okay, so that's an important piece to note. You need to put those spaces back in, and then we can now say stop to stop. Okay, so that's cool because we now have separated our sentence into three little bits, and that's useful because we can now colorize different bits of that sentence. So if I want to colorize the stop word, I'm going to use the plus sign, color.red, and then plus. Okay, so here I've got the color that I want, and I've got two pluses on either side of the color to join the two pieces of text on either side. So it's sandwiching. So the color red is basically being sandwiched between these two pieces of text. And because we're changing the color before we say stop, now say will be in white, but stop will be in red. Okay, and to stop will, let's see what to stop will be. Okay, so now we have say, stop to stop, but then the rest is in red as well. But that's okay because we can use the same sandwiching plus technique to change the color back for the remaining little piece of text there. I'm going to pull this over here to the side. So I'm going to go plus color dot reset like that. Okay, and if I run this now, I'll see that it's say stop to stop and only the word stop is in red because we have changed it to red before we display that little piece of text, and then we change it back before we display the rest of the text. Okay, so that's how we can colorize individual parts of a line of text.